So you're a Guardian player, well, instead of watching 4 or 5 different build videos, I am going to hook you up with the best builds right now for PVE in 2024, some of which will use traditional weapons, while others will incorporate the new spear from Janthier Wilds. The Guardian actually has a lot of good builds. Pretty much every available role is available on the Guardian, and we will go over them one by one. Timestamps will be in the description if you want to revisit a particular build in the future so you can navigate them easily. Like always, let's start with the powered DPS option. The Guardian has 2 DPS options, and we will start with the powered Dragonhunter. Despite what Hellmasker has to say about the Dragonhunter, it is a great class and is super beginner friendly. It has a ton of cleave, a fairly high burst, which makes it awesome in fractals and phase heavy raid encounters like Keep Construct and Conjured Amalgamate. Gear wise, you are going to be rocking a mix of Berserkers and Dragon's gear. Though you just want to run full Berserkers, that's alright too. You don't need all of the precision provided by full Berserkers gear, but for ease of gearing, full Berserkers is just fine. The runes are going to be Rune of the Dragonhunter, and the relic is also going to be Relic of the Dragonhunter. Your weapons are going to be Spear and Greatsword with Force and Impact on both weapon sets. Your food is going to be standard power food, being sous vide steak or butternut squash and superior sharpening stones. Traits are going to be Radiance 333, Zeal 223, and Dragonhunter 323. Your skills are going to be Purification, Procession of Blades, Sword of Justice, Bane Signet, and Dragon's Maw. The way this build operates its rotation is through a skill priority. Like my original Radiance Dragonhunter guide, you want to stack your damage modifiers to get off your big burst. In this case, it's going to be the F1 skill and Procession of Blades, while ensuring that you have resolution. Additionally, before activating your spear skills, you want to make sure that you are illuminated, which is the Guardian spear mechanic, and it is provided primarily by your spear skill 5. The priority looks like this. You pop a trap, you pop your F1, and then you follow up with either Symbol of Resolution into Whirling Wrath on Greatsword, or Symbol of Luminance into Solar Storm and Gleaming Disc. So skill 4 and 2 combo on Greatsword, and skill 5, 4, 3 on Spear. For the rest of your weapon skills, you can use them as filler, or you can use Sword of Justice while the rest of your combos come off cooldown. It can be optimized, but if you follow this simple guide, you will get good results. The other available powered DPS option for Guardian is the powered DPS Willbender, and ultimately this build is significantly more rigid rotationally than the powered Dragonhunter. However, if you like the high movement style of the Willbender, it can be a lot of fun. I would definitely look up a full rotation list for this build, since there really isn't an easy way to simplify it. Both Spear and Greatsword follow a similar priority. However, if you are new to the class, I would just stick with the powered Dragonhunter. Moving on to the Condi DPS option, we will be looking at the Condi DPS Willbender, which uses full Viper's gear, full Sinister trinkets excluding 1 ring, which is Viper's, and then Relic of the Fractal. The weapons are Pistol Torch and Offhand Pistol with Sigil of Bursting on your main hand weapon and Sigil of Air on both offhand weapons. Your food is going to be standard Condi food, so Toxic Focusing Crystals and Flatbread, and your traits are going to be Radiance 221, Virtues 311, and Willbender 112, with your primary utilities being Purging Flames, Whirling Light, and Signet of Wrath, with your elite being open, but it usually runs with Heaven's Palm for CC. This build is very spammy. You basically want to spam all of your high burn skills and make use of combo fields generated by Purging Flames and Symbol of Ignition while upkeeping your F1 skill. The majority of your damage comes from F1, Zealot's Flame, and your pistol skills, so spamming them with the appropriate symbols up and using Whirling Light inside of a fire field is how you can maximize your DPS. If you want to simplify this build, you only need to run 1 weapon set, being the Pistol Torch set, and ignore the offhand weapon and weapon swaps associated with it. You will still get good results. For healing builds, the Guardian actually has two healing builds, the Heal Quickness Firebrand, which is the all-around goat healer, and the Alacrity Willbender, which is a more niche option, but is still fun to play. For the most part, healers can use either Harriers or Minstrels with a mix of Harriers and Givers, but for the time being, I like to run with Harriers for both of these builds. Starting with the Heal Quickness Firebrand, you run full Harriers gear with Rune of Water and Relic of the Flock. You're going to use Axe Shield with Staff and Sigils of Concentration and Transference on both sets. Food will be standard healing food, so rice balls or fruit salad with mint garnish and bountiful maintenance oil as your utilities. For traits, you are going to run Honor 332, Virtues 322, and Firebrand 211. The only required skills are going to be Mantra of Solace, Mantra of Potence, and Feel My Wrath, which is the easiest way to upkeep quickness. I cover Firebrand more in depth on a few occasions on my channel, so if you are interested in this build alone, you might want to check out those videos. But for the short version, you essentially want to use 2 charges of your mantras whenever they're available, Feel My Wrath off cooldown, and you want to use your Shield 4 frequently, your Axe 2 frequently, and make sure you switch to Staff often to use your skill 3-2 combo for Condi cleanses, alongside channeling Empower, which is your skill 4, which is a good heal skill and is responsible for a good portion of your might generation. You also have a ton of abilities in your tomes. Your F1 will be used for might generation, fire fields, and a slight DPS increase for your teammates. F2 is all of your outright healing and Condi cleanse, and F3 is for stability, reflex, and stun breaks. Getting comfortable with what skill does what will take your Firebrand gameplay to the next level, and a good Firebrand is oftentimes better than many of the other available heal options due to the versatility that the class has. If you want an all-in-one healer, the Quickness Firebrand is really hard to beat. And like I said, I have more in-depth guides on this channel, and I will link them in the description below. If you need an Alacrity healer, however, the Heal Alacrity Willbender is an alternative option for the Guardian, and it really is not as good as the Heal Firebrand. But if you want to run it, you generate your Alacrity through the use of auto attacks while under the effects of your F2 ability, Floating Resolve. And I do have a full Heal Alacrity guide, which follows the same principles even though it is out of date. So that video will also be in the description if you are interested in the Alacrity variant for the healer. The only real change would be swapping out the hammer for the spear. Moving on to boon DPS options, the Guardian has 2 boon DPS options, the Power Alacrity Willbender and the Condi Quickness Firebrand. The Power Alacrity Willbender is very fast paced, and when running the assigned gear, it requires you to use high hit count abilities while under the effects of your F2 skill to generate significant Alacrity. Even then, I feel this build would have a hard time maintaining it under normal boss encounters, and it falls short to the other Alacrity providing specs. The fast-paced rotation, the forced movement, and the low room for error makes it hard to justify over the Power Boon Chronomancer, which is the only other Power Alacrity build that exists in the game. I played around with this build quite a bit, and I really can't justify recommending it over the other Alacrity builds that exist. The Condi Quickness Firebrand, however, is significantly easier to play and gear with a predictable Ritualist stat set, excluding a Sinister backpack with Runes of the Trapper and Relic of the Fractal. You run Pistol Torch and Pistol Offhand with Sigil of Bursting on your main hand weapon and Smoldering on both offhands. You run Condi DPS Food with Cilantro Flatbread and the Boon Support utility with Magnanimous Tuning Crystals. The traits are Radiance 221, Virtues 321, and Firebrand 212, with your primary utilities being Mantra of Solace, Potence, and Flame, with Feel My Wrath as your primary elite. Purging Flames is your best DPS option, but this skill can be swapped out for Sanctuary, Advanced, Stand Your Ground, or any other utility that you need for your group. This is a good Condi DPS option that brings all of the utility of Firebrand tomes to play. It definitely isn't as easy to provide boons as the Herald on either Power or Condi, however it does a good job if played correctly. Essentially, you are spamming your fire abilities with Purging Flames, Zealot's Flame, and your F1 skills, prioritizing your F1 skill 5, skill 2, and skill 4, while spamming your pistol abilities alongside them. The build and rotation can be simplified, much like the Condi Willbender, by ignoring the secondary pistol set and just running pistol torch. And like the heal Firebrand, you want to just spam your mantras off cooldown and only utilize one charge of your heal skill to just keep it recharging. It is really hard to beat the Firebrand's versatility, and for that reason, I suggest you play the Condi Quickness Firebrand as the boon DPS option. And with that, that is all of the current 2024 meta builds for the Guardian. I want to thank you for watching. Special thanks to all of my subscribers, and if you dig the content, please consider subscribing. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.